think we might start this up today. This is a 1980 Chevy Luv. Had this thing a long time, and it's got full scrap metal, and it is a rust bucket. I'm not sure if it came from up north originally. It may have, but these things were just prone to rust out anyway, so it may not have. And it didn't help that somebody at some point put a sunroof in it, and it leaks, of course, and when it leaks it rots out the floor pans, and I've patched the floor pans before, and they just rusted out again. And the pillars rusted out, so the door is about to fall off. And I think it's also full of wasp nest. You can see the door is about to fall off. Just to show you, that's how far the door is sagging. So let me see if I can get the hood up. I'm pretty sure there's tons of wasp nests under the hood. So let's see if we can get it up without getting stung. And we'll have to find a battery for it. I don't know if I have one to put in it. And the gas tank, which was rusted out, is that can right there. And so we'll have to put some gas in there. I don't know if there's any in it. If there is, we'll have to dump it. I think I remember it's got a hole in this gas line somewhere that I found. Or maybe one of the connections wasn't tight. I remember it was running bad, and I realized that I think it's sucking air. So, let's take a look at what we got here. The motor in this thing has been changed. I swapped the motor on it. It's got the motor out of that mid-80s Isuzu pup. These were Chevy Luvs were built by Isuzu. I say they're built by Isuzu. Got Isuzu parts. This one originally had a G180 motor, which would be a 1.8 liter overhead cam, motor, and it had a rod knock in it. I swapped it for a G200 that was in that Isuzu. The blocks look identical to it. It's just I guess a bigger bore on the G200. So this one's got the G200 in it. That G200 that was in that Isuzu, once I pulled it apart, I had to swap the oil pans because it needed the four-wheel drive oil pan from the G180, and they take the same. Like I said, the blocks are pretty much identical from the outside. All the accessories bolt on. The heads, there may be a difference in the heads, but they do bolt on the same. They look the same. I swapped oil pans because I needed the four-wheel drive oil pan on here. And so when I did that, I took a look at the motor, and it had been rebuilt at some point. So it's got a rebuilt G200 motor in it, 1.9 liter. So it runs good. The carburetor is probably all gummed up, but let me see if I can get the hood up without getting stung. Well, if nothing else, we've accomplished eradicating the wasp from this thing, or at least ones that were, well, say eradicating them. They're still flying around or stumbling around. But for the most part, they're gone. We've got a dirt dauber nest right there. Got that gone. And I would imagine there's probably more dirt dauber nest on it. Looks like we've got some vacuum lines missing. All the pollution stuff was removed off this thing. When I swapped it over to the G200, I swapped over the G200's electronic ignition with it, so this thing no longer has points in it. Oh, it's still got a battery in it. Well, that's good. I know this battery's no good, but it at least gives us something to put a charger on. Yeah, there was the nest. It's a big one. And while I had the wasp spray out, I sprayed that one up there. They've just kind of really been bad this year. I have to get a pole or something to knock that one down now. I don't know if you can see it up there. This one's huge. Oh look, more dirt dauber. If you're wondering what those other plugs are sticking out of the head, this thing had for the air pump, it injected it had a tube that went along that injected air into the exhaust. Just to clean things up, I got rid of that, and the thread that threaded, the thread size was the same as spark plugs. I just threw some spark plugs in there to plug the holes. So let's get that battery hooked up and get the charger on it, get some gas in it, and see what it'll do. I need to check the inside of this thing and see if it's got wasp on the inside. I'd be surprised if they're in the intake tube or dirt daubers. But let's see what it'll do. It's got an electric fuel pump, so shouldn't have a whole lot of cranking to get this thing started. Got a little bit of brake fluid, and a little bit. Oh, we need to get rid of that thing. And now I got that spray on me. Alright, wasp nest gone. Turn the key on, it pumped up gas, saw the filter fill up, but we got a little bit of a drip. I think the fuel bowl is leaking, but we're going to just see if it'll crank up. We've got no water in the radiator, probably not going to have a good enough battery connection. I think it's pretty much going to be trying to start off the battery charger. But let's see what it'll do. We got fuel. We should have spark. There's a loose connection on the main power wire, but other than that, I think we're good. I wiggled it and it cut on. Let's see if we've got any wasp in here. I don't see any, so it should be good. I kind of banged on the doors and nothing flew out of the doors, so I think we just had that one big nest, and they're still flying around looking for their home. They're not too happy, but let's see what this thing will do. My seat's probably going to go through the floor. Nothing left of this thing. In neutral, and we lost our power. There's a buzzer, a sick buzzer, and four-wheel drive lights on. What a rust bucket. Oh. Look at that. We're just running off the accelerator pump. I think the carburetor's plugged up. Oh. It's getting better. Can't see anything over there. Battery may not have been as bad as I thought it was. Better check, make sure we don't have huge fuel leaks. It's just dripping from the bowl. But that was before it cranked. I don't see any new drips. It's wet where it was wet with fuel, but I think it may have stopped. I don't know if the fuel pump's still pumping. It may have, maybe sucking air, but everything under the hood looks okay. I said we got no water in it. And the drain plug got lost. There was a bolt in it for a while. Oh look, here's the bolt. Let me stick the bolt in it and I'll put a little bit of water in it. Alright, so I've got water in it. Top radiator hose is junk, it's dripping. But it'll work. For now, notice this is a anti-dieseling solenoid. It was unplugged, so we need to plug that in. That would keep it from idling. That's plugged in. I need to find some vacuum line and plug this off, and we'll see how it runs. And it may not have been the bowl that was leaking. This return line that's plugged off is wet with fuel, so that's probably where it was coming from. This thing, the fuel line was plugged up, so it's running off the return line. That happened a long time ago, so there's no return line on it. So let me grab some vacuum line.